Welcome back, everybody, to another exciting edition of the PMA LCS. I am Austin Saito Weber, and I am here with Andrew Psycho Boy Marrero himself.
Yo, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Tonight's matchup, we have 7 Shades of Greg versus Team Solo Feed. They're just finishing up their picks and bans right now, so how do you think this match is going to go? You excited to see these two well-performing teams go against each other?
Definitely, man. Jirachi is probably one of the best ADCs I've ever had to play with in our split. So I can't wait to see what he pulls out.
And in the same vein, OP and Gert are a very powerful combo down there. It's going to be a very interesting matchup for the bot lanes, to say the least. I'm hoping we see some decent action down there.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a Lucian and a Tristana currently down in bot lane, so it's going to be a pretty interesting fight.
So, I believe the last matchup we came out of, Team Solo Feed beat out their opponents in the last match, if I remember correctly. Hold on. Let me just check real quick. I believe so. Did you see the last match? I can't remember for the life of me. I casted it and I can't remember for the life of me.
Oh, man.
Oh, well. Either Team Solo Feed won or they didn't. I can't remember.
One or the other. I actually have the Google Doc here if you want me to check it up.
Yeah, sure. Look it up. See if my mind is absolutely failing me tonight.
They did win.
Ah, I was right. So, yeah.
Against 3 pump chumps, right?
Oh, yeah. Because the 3 pump chumps were in the 2 pump slump. That's right.
Ouch.
So that looks like they're picking their last. We're about to get into the game lobby, and we'll be able to talk over all these picks and bans that they have gone through in this little chat. And it looks like since Greg didn't make the lobby, we are going to be in tournament draft mode, and we shouldn't have to remake it as soon as we get in, so that's always a plus.
Awesome. Perfect.
Looks like Team Solo Feed is ready, and so is 7 Shades of Greg. So as soon as Jingo presses that button, we'll get into that lobby.
Unless Django is, for some reason, away from his keyboard and just doesn't want to hit that start game button.
Or as long as... Or maybe Jingo just doesn't realize he has the lobby. I don't think anyone ever realizes when they have the lobby.
No, not until everyone starts yelling at them.
It kind of just transfers around all randomly.
I'll be funneling.
Alright, right away we see a Heimerdinger ban. I believe that is going towards Garfield Juice in the top lane. He, from what I've seen of him, he has a pretty wide champion pool up there, and then a Camille ban right after. Meanwhile, on Team Solo Feed, banning the Alistair away from Gert. I mean, that's something you just kind of gotta do. You don't want Gert having one of his big champions.
Absolutely not. He will get in there and tear you up.
And then cowbell on your corpse.
Okay.
And the Rammus ban. Now, you might not think that that's too great of a ban, but Jirachi, or Rich, absolutely hates Rammus support, and Gert was just taunting him with how he was going to play it tonight. So, Rich is just going to ban that out of the way to not have to deal with that.
Right. He can get in there as soon as he builds up enough move speed. Just get in there and make the AD carry's life a complete hell.
I mean, I've seen Gert play support Rammus, and I'd say for him, it's a pretty solid pick. And it's good on Rich's side to try and ban something that's not going to absolutely tilt him.
Uh-oh.
Oh, looks like that was just League screwing up. But already we see the matchup in the top lane is going to be Maokai versus Fiora. Now, new Maokai versus any sort of damage dealer. Oh.
Yeah, they messed up.
Screwed up. Yep, you can't have a game of PMA LCS without someone leaving the lobby before it begins. Well, I guess we gotta sit through that again. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, I was a little confused when they were going through pick bans because 7 Shades of Grey of Greg did not have the bands that they originally set out. Like, I have the list right with me, so I was a little confused for a second.
I was not even paying attention. So we have a Thresh ban right off the bat. I've seen Baba Booey play Thresh a couple times, and you know what? It's pretty good. He's got a pretty solid Thresh and a Jinx ban. That's straight towards Rich in the bot lane. You don't want to give him Jinx. It's on the same vein of don't give Gert Alistair.
Honestly, like, the 2 strongest AD carries for Rich in the bot lane are Jinx and Xayah. Yeah. He can go ham with either of those, so that was a good choice for 7 Shades of Grey to ban Jinx.
Absolutely. And then we see an Ahri ban, most likely towards C-Van, as they're, you could say their quote-unquote strongest player, rank-wise. You don't want to give him something he's too comfortable on.
No, but I just wanna point out this real quick. Both the mid laners opting to take what are normally AD carry champions that still have a lot of AP scaling, but still you predominantly see them in the bot lane.
Oh yeah, and both hybrid carries, both able to go ballistic in the mid lane. We'll see where that goes. Like I was mentioning before, though, we have the Maokai versus Fiora top, which is interesting. While the new Maokai is crazy tanky, he's like a wet noodle when it comes to damage. If you can line your trees up, he can do fine. But against anyone with scaling damage or true damage or percent health damage, he just has a bad time, because once they start splitting the towers, there's not much they can do to stop you. And I don't know if it's a great thing into this Fiora. Alright, and back to the bans that we just saw. We see Braum and Xayah banned on the side of 7 Shades of Greg. So that's 4 bans directed towards Team Solo Feed's bot lane.
Yeah, man. I would say that 7 Shades of Greg is really scared of this Jirachi Baba Booey combo. I haven't seen them play together yet, but...
Though, at the same time, we have Alistair, Rammus, Tom Kench, and Caitlyn banned. And 3 of those are champions Gert likes to play, and one of those is one of OP's decent champions. So both teams are apparently banning 4 towards the bot lane. Like I was saying earlier, I think this match is going to see a lot of bot lane action.
Man, I can't wait. It's going to be, as they say, lit in the bot lane.
Oh, you crazy kids with your little expressions. So let's take a look at what they did pick. In the jungle, we see Dat Walrus with Zac, and that's a absolutely solid jungler no matter what team you pick it into. It's hard to not be relevant with Zac unless you get ridiculously far behind.
Yeah, his rework basically makes it almost impossible to not be useful to the teams, whether it's just like eing in and then ulting out and grabbing a few of their backline to the front. Like, it's almost impossible to not be useful with him.
Yeah, and the range on that E and his engage with the stun, even if he can't do the damage, that's enough to get your allied member in on that opponent and doing a ton of damage. And Bounty opting to take the Gragas jungle. So we have two junglers that are probably going to be making some early ganks. I believe Bounty played Gragas in the last matchup, and while he was pretty behind in farm early on, he was trying to make plays and winding up in lanes, and eventually it worked out. So we'll see where it goes with this. Then down in the mid lane, once again, we have those carried champions sitting in the middle. This is the lane that I want to see. This is going to be the interesting matchup of the night. Because while we're going to see action in the bot lane, it's pretty vanilla lane down there. But that mid lane, Corki versus Kog'Maw. There's
going to be a lot of trading. There's going to be a lot of action going down the mid lane.
A lot of ults flying everywhere.
All the ults.
And then down in the bot lane, we do have Gert on Galio. His probably his most well-known level 7, since he likes to gloat about his rework.
Huh. Yeah, to be honest with you, I do think Galio is a lot more relevant now that he's had his rework than he was before it.
Oh, definitely. Now he has nearly global pressure, a pretty wide taunt, and can just tank for days and days. So let's try and look at these comps for a second, see what they're trying to do. On the side of Seven Shades of Greg, we've got some pretty good engage between the Zac and Galio. If Zac can jump in and then Galio ults in, you're going to lock down a lot of the enemy team for that Corki and Tristana to jump in and take down. And the Fiora, it's going to be a question of, is she going to join in on team fights, or is she just going to try and be split pushing in the top lane? And taking advantage of that Maokai's lack of good damage to keep her off of towers.
Right. Well, I mean, if she's anything like you, she'll probably just split off and go straight for those towers.
Nothing exists but the top lane.
Absolutely not.
No.
But no, I feel like she's gonna be really strong, and she's gonna try and get around and try and really hit that back line. If Zac can't get to it, then Fiora is definitely just gonna try and sneak back there. Although I think Maokai is gonna do a really good job at just keeping them where he wants them to be with his ult. He's just gonna root them all down, and then Lucian's just gonna clean it all up.
But yeah, and speaking of back line, it's gonna be hard for anyone to get on that. It looks like they have a pretty heavy Protect the Cog and Lucian comp. They've got the Maokai with his stuns and his wall of roots. They've got Gragas, which if someone manages to get back there, he can just drop a well-placed ult. And then Nautilus, who is the most ridiculous walking tank of CC you ever seen. So if anyone's trying to get on that back line, they're going to have to be really good about it.
Right, they just have so much peel for both their carries. It's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited to see how these team fights pan out, because really it's anyone's game.
Oh yeah, I think this match is gonna come down to whether or not Seven Shades of Greg can get to that Kog'Maw. Because if no one takes him out, Sivan is their power player, and he will do Kog'Maw things and just obliterate the enemy front and back lines with that ridiculous range he's got going on.
Yeah, his living artillery will just go in and just end everyone's day.
And then Rich can just hop in on the side and clean up the kill. Now, it's also going to be very hard locking down Rich, even without Peel, as we saw in the last game. Rich is very, very good at darting in and out of AoE damage and skill shots on Lucian. Like, he has that dash down to a point. And when he tries to get away from something, he's going to get away from it. All right, it looks like neither team is opting for a 5-man invade. But we are going to see them walk out and pop a little ward in the river. Seven Shades does see it.
Finds that quickly and pings it out.
Oh. Looks like we're going to go for a pretty passive start. At this point, it doesn't seem like anyone's going to invade. Seven Shades has noticed both wards that was placed in their jungle and are appropriately positioning themselves to avoid an enemy invade, but not venturing out so far that Team Solo Feed can see them. So it looks like we're going to make it to the camp spawning, and both junglers are going to go and just take their normal camps. Oh, and we have a pause already. I'm going to use this time to readjust my interface. Well, we're resuming. False alarm, it's not a 20-minute pause. Thank God.
Right, that would have been brutal.
At this late at night, I don't want to deal with that. Alright, and it seems that the minions are to mid lane. Jungles are starting symmetrical. Looks like we might get another level 3 4-man top lane fiesta. It seems nearly every game both junglers wind up in the top lane simultaneously at level 3, and something happens. Whether it's they take a bunch of damage and back off, or we see a pretty early first blood. Alright, we already got some trades up in the top lane. Maokai is managing to put a good amount of poke on Fiora. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, they are getting a little bit of damage on Gert, but it's not a huge trade. Sivan going in to try and get a little bit on Corki, but he's just going to back off a bit. Rich dashing in, getting the double tap on Tristana. I recognize double tap as a misfortune ability, but I forgot what his passive is called, so we're going to go with that. Dashing in, doing a good amount of damage on OP with just his passive and his passive reset. And they're going to go back to trading, but I have a feeling that they are both looking for another engage in on OP to try and get that early first blood.
Right, and let's head up to the top lane route with Bouncy going behind the Fiora, trying to get that level 3 gank, but choosing that it's not a good idea.
Meanwhile, Zac is trying to gank in the mid lane, but it looks like Sivan might know he's there.
He has no wards.
He has no wards. He backed off for a second, but it might have just been to ward. So we'll see if he manages. Nope, looks like Zac's backing off. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Tristana managed to get a nice explosive charge in on Lucian. Does a good hefty chunk of damage. Maokai taking a trade with Fiora. Getting a little bit of damage in, but losing the trade altogether. He's got almost no mana, and he's at half health. Meanwhile, Fiora is almost at full mana, and just a little bit of health regeneration left till she's back at the top. Ooh, Sivan lands some... Manages to get the Thunderlord's proc in on Corki. Gonna take huge damage from that. Doesn't manage to burn a summoner. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, we've got the explosive charge on Jirachi. He manages to dash away from that before getting knocked up by the Justice Punch. Both gonna walk out with pretty close damage. However, Tristana is still nearly at full mana, while Lucian... Oh, we got the engage down first blood for Kog'Maw Sivan in the mid lane, managing to get that Thunderlord's proc with his W and his, what's that called? What's his E called? I can't remember.
His E is Void Ooze.
Void Ooze. What a fitting ability. We managed to see Rich's heal on Baba Booey, but Baba Booey does go down, just went in a bit too hard. We see the heal from Gert, was it? No, not Gert. Tristana. For some reason, it looked like it came from Gert. We see Bounty Up ganking the top lane. Going to throw his barrel, but not going to get much happening. He's just going to walk on out of there. Bot lane, Rich is sticking in lane, still trying to get that farm, but he better watch out. Gert is definitely looking for an engage. He's smelling blood in the water. If he manages to get a Justice Punch in, then Jirachi is going down for sure.
Absolutely.
As far as we do see the Arcane Smash in on Fiora. Manages to get the root, but Fiora is going to walk out perfectly fine. Ooh, we see the Nautilus almost stun him down. Gert manages to stay in the fight and Justice Punch and smashes Jirachi into non-existence. Already we see Seven Shades bot lane going, oh, we see a flash from Maokai, but does get parried and is going to go down 1 for 1. Not a first blood on either side, so they're both going to walk out completely even from that exchange there. Although, we did see Maokai's flash for that. And it looks like Fiora's was used just slightly earlier. Both of them have TP. Let's see if either of them managed to pop up back there. It looks like they're both opting to walk back into the top lane to use their TPs in case anything more important happens, I suppose you could say. Looks like Zach is here, looking for that engage in on the Kog'Maw, but he's going to back off to farm the lane and not going to see much out of that. Zach is coming around, but they do see him. He is being pinged off right now, and Zach's just going to retreat back to where he came from, back into Goo Land. Already, we're seeing a lot of action in the bot lane, and that's even without jungler assistance. The ganks we're seeing up in the top and mid lanes really aren't doing too much.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much just Packer diehard trying to stay passive, trying to not take too much damage and give Z-Fan that snowballing potential.
Oh yeah, and we've already seen that C-Van is able to get the 1v1 kill just out of attrition. So if he's going to be looking for ganks from that Zac, but they've got it warded enough. Although if he came back in right now, they don't have a lot of wards up at the moment. It's all going to depend for Packer Diehard if they can get that Zac ult to go off in the mid lane and take down C-Van for that little extra gold. Oh, we do see the ult. Oh, Thunderlord's procs on the Living Artillery. Gonna take down Packer Diehard for a second time. Meanwhile, Baba Booey in the bush looking for a nice hook on the enemy bot lane, but he's gonna back off as he does not have a minion wave or an ADC close enough to capitalize off of that. Looks like
right, that was a great play by C-Fan to first get that that Void Ooze out, and then using his Living Artillery to just end.
We do see the Nautilus ult on Tristana, gonna flash in from Gragas, and oh, Gert manages to taunt Rich onto him, but it looks like the Culling's just gonna pick up that kill anyway, and here comes C-Van down with the Living Artillery. They're gonna pick up the double kill for Jirachi on Lucian, and now they're gonna gain back some momentum. And up in the top lane, we see a trade going down. We see the Maokai ult come out, and the Fiora is going to walk away. It's an interesting choice. While we do see the Maokai ult being used, Maokai's sitting at half health with no mana. If she can hit those vitals, I believe she can trade out. And looks like he is coming back in. Let's see what happens in this top lane with this little extended stay here. Although he has already healed up back to full health. Although Fiora is managing to chunk him down quite a bit. Oh, he is trying to get in and misses the parry on his heal. He's going to arcane smash her away and walk behind his minions to safety. And it wouldn't be a good idea for her to go after, because drawing that minion aggro would be her death.
Right. Even with her sustain, there's no way that she can take down that Maokai and sustain from the minions.
Oh yeah, she'd have to hit those vitals perfectly. And I still don't think it would do much. Now we see some heavy farming and poking. Does manage to get the Living Artillery Thunderlord's proc. It doesn't take much from that Kog'Maw to just whittle down Packer. Oh, and we do see the Zac manage to E in, but does miss the left bounce and goes back to the tower with nothing. We did see Sivan's flash, though, so that's a little bit.
That was a great flash by Sivan.
Meanwhile, Gert Justice punching into Baba Booey and giving him his little smash, but it's not going to do much to Gert. Going to take a nice hefty chunk off of Baba Booey, though. It seems like, while we did see some good early stuff from Seven Shades, TSF is starting to snowball. I think they've got a snowball working, and it's beginning to roll. I mean, we got the gank from Bounty up in the top lane. Almost manages to kill Fiora, but she flashes out, and the barrel toss completely misses. Garfield Juice Wing in on Jingo Unchained, trying to get that minion to aggro her, but it just blows up, and she walks away with a minuscule amount of health.
Right. We have Dat Walrus coming down the bot lane. I don't think there's anything he can do here except wait to see if he can try and get a gank.
And Jingo is going back in with recovery from her refillable potion, I'm assuming. She's going to get a couple shots in to keep him off the tower, but it's not going to do much. Oh, she's canceling her back yet again to try and keep these minions off of the tower. Oh, we see the anchor toss going in and grabbing Gert. Gert manages to get a double stun on Jirachi and Baba Booey, doing a good amount of damage, but here comes the culling from Jirachi, doing a hefty amount of damage to Gert. He's going to have to back off after that one. And explosive charge on the Lucian, but he's just going to dash away. It looks like Zac is giving a visit down bot lane. Probably going to try and go up behind to get that nice jump over the tower. Does place a ward to check if it's warded, and of course it is, so he's not going to be surprising anyone today. Oh, and it looks like Bounty 101 is here and is going to dash in. Gert going to ult in. We got the Let's Bounce on Gragas. And a TP in from Garfield Juice. OP manages to get the kill on Bounty. Meanwhile, Gert and Dat Walrus are trapped between a rock and a hard place, but Fiora manages to show up and take down Baba Booey. And now we see that top lane fight now taking place down here, except this time he's got Sivan and Jirachi to back him up, and they are going to take down Fiora.
Right, they could definitely drag in after that.
Oh, and it looks like they are going to.
That was a great fight by Team Solo Feed. They executed that perfectly, only losing, what, the Gragas in that entire team fight?
The Gragas and Baba Booey on his Nautilus manages to get taken out. But that's losing neither of the big damage dealers, and so they're just going to pull out. Looks like Packer Diehard is looking for an in on this dragon. They do have a ward. Tries to use his torpedo to take it down, but doesn't manage quite to steal it. Team Solo Feed gonna walk away with that Earth Drake. which is not good for Seven Shades of Greg, having a Lucian and a Kog'Maw with an Earth Drake. Meanwhile, we see Jingo activating his ult on C-Van. Gonna get 1 vital, 2 vitals. Oh, and we see the Torpedo come in, and the Corki ult is gonna save the day. Oh, looked like C-Van wasn't expecting to die, because he just kept walking back to his turret. Alright, it looks like 3 are now pushing in on this mid tower. We have Packer, Jingo, and Gert. And Zac is on his way. Dat Walrus fighting with Baba Booey down there, trying to zone him off of the tower. Gragas is gonna show up, try to save the day. In the bot lane, meanwhile, we have Rich going in on OP, doing a hefty amount of damage, but OP is just gonna jump out of the culling. Both are gonna walk away, pretty scraped and bruised, but it doesn't look like either are gonna get the kill. Meanwhile, Gert he smells blood in the water. Ooh! Nice long dash in from Garfield Juice. Manages to root her for a little bit, but it's not going to do much. Zac is showing up to keep some pressure off. And maybe get a gank if Maokai doesn't manage to ward that.
Right. Oh, it looks like we can have something in the jungle.
We do get the knock-up in from Dat Walrus. Oh, here comes Packer Diehard, effectively cutting him off, but here comes C-Van and Baba Booey, ready to protect their jungler. Gert does get the taunt, a 3-man taunt that Let's Bounce takes Baba Booey over back into the jungle. Gert, really low health, going to get taken out by the living artillery. It looks like that push has just been turned absolutely around, because now we have 4 from Team Solo Feed pushing down that second mid tower. And with Jirachi and C-Van there with their Earth Drake, that is a tower that they are definitely going to get.
Right. I don't know if that was the best option for Tristana. She saw all 4 of Team Solo Feed down in mid. If I was her, I would have just taken that straight up and tried to get some damage on that second bot tower.
Yeah. And we see Jingo deciding to stay and take 1 tower as a little consolation prize. But looks like she's going to back off instead of overstaying till Team Solo Feed comes up and decides to get revenge for that little objective. But it looks like this team comp for Team Solo Feed is doing what they're intending. They are managing to keep the enemy team off of C-Van. Ooh, he's getting pretty ballsy trying to go in when there are 4 there. He does get a little poke and manages to get out okay. Gragas dashing in, throwing a cask, but it's not going to do all too much. Rich is going to dash in and do a little bit of poke on Dat Walrus, but all in all, both teams are going to walk away with minor poke. Looks like Garfield Juice is in the bot lane to be split pushing. I don't know if that's the best champion you want split pushing. Meanwhile, we're going to have the 2 junglers fighting over a blue buff. They're going to slap each other a bit, walk away. Mostly fine. Dat Walrus taking a bit more damage, opts to back, even though the enemy team is taking Rift Herald. It's going to be hard for them to steal this from Team Solo Feed without their jungler. Oh, but Gert does go in, lands the Justice Punch and the stun. Baba Booey and Bounty. Bounty is going to go down to Fiora. Rich is going to take down Packer Diehard and dash away from the Fiora. Ooh, uses his flash even though the parry wouldn't quite have hit him. C-Van going to get killed by the winds. Rich dashes into the taunt, or not in, but doesn't dash out of it. Baba Booey getting caught by the Let's Bounce is going to be hit by 3 of the enemy team. Garfield Juice canceling his TP because he realizes it's just going to be him versus the world if he completes that.
Right. And that was a good team fight for Seven Shades of Grey. Really trying to force that fight around the Rift Herald pit and really taking what looked to be a really shitty situation and turning it to be a good team fight for them and really putting them out on top.
And managing to steal that Rift Herald with Baron spawning in only 30 seconds. Looks like the next dragon, let's see.
It's going to be another Mountain Drake.
Spicy. That is not something that you want to see on a Kog'Maw.
Absolutely not. He will just tear it to shreds.
Like, that's just disgusting. Seven Shades is going to have to ward around that dragon and try to do their hardest to keep that off of Team Solo Feed, or they're going to have a hard time keeping them from just taking any objectives they want. Gert going to miss the taunt on Bounty, and it looks like both teams are gravitating around the dragon. They know what's up. Team Solo Feed knows they need it, and Seven Shades knows Team Solo Feed knows they need it.
All right, let's see who makes the best out of this team fight.
Looks like they're dancing around, sizing to the... Ooh, we do see the anchor toss managed to land on Tristana. Gert gonna ult in, and the Maokai ult gonna go through. Not gonna do too much with that. Tristana sitting on the back line, getting some damage in on Baba Booey. What is Jingo doing? The fail teleport right there. Tried to go straight to a ward. Meanwhile, we see Jirachi cleaning up. Gert gonna go in on Packer Diehard, who's trying his hardest to get the kill on Bounty, but is not gonna get it. We see a double kill for Jirachi, and the only one managing to make it out is the Fiora. Jingo's, let's just say that that failed teleport saved his life. We do see her drop the Rift Herald as she goes out, though. Manages to salvage a tower. I think that was a pretty good play for what it was.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a little surprised that Team Solo Feed didn't go and take that dragon just to add another Mountain Drake to their collection, and really push their objective control even more.
Oh yeah, I mean, Sivan and Rich were both there, and together they have enough damage to take it down on their own. But Seven Shades is back up and ready for round two. They're gonna gravitate back down. It looks like we're gonna repeat this process all over. Let's see how it goes when Jingo's teleport isn't up. Oh, it looks like Seven Shades is starting that dragon. They have 4 out of 5. Everyone but Fiora is on that dragon, and they are going to be doing a good amount of damage. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
We do see the Kog'Maw Dragon Steel. That was beautiful and terrifying at the same time.
I did not expect him to be able to end it. Oh my god.
I honestly didn't even see the skill. I didn't even see the artillery.
I saw it go down, but there was still about like 70 health left on Dragon, so I figured one of Team's Seven Shades of Grey could at least clean it up, but man, that was a great snipe.
It seems like Sivan is managing to pop off on that Kog'Maw, which is something Seven Shades does not want to see. Already 74 CS up over Corki with 6 kills to Corki's 1. So that mid lane is, I mean, it was obvious it was getting rolled, but it's just getting nasty at this point. Dat Walrus is trying to give Packer Diehard the blue. He does manage to take it, even though Bounty comes in and tries to steal it. Oh, Rich manages to dash in over the wall, trying to eliminate Packer Diehard. Oh, and the flash from Packer doesn't quite make it over the wall. Gonna get knocked down to the culling. Fiora just sitting there in the middle of everything. Rich says, come here, you're dead. Don't even try. Takes him out. Ooh, Living Artillery pops down, gets the Thunderlord's proc on Dat Walrus, whose passive is not up. Gonna pull out another kill from that. And it looks like they're just gonna walk up and say, screw this tower. Gert managing to get the taunt in on Sivan, but not really a taunt he should have gone for with the entire team sitting up there. Meanwhile, we have Tristana pushing down in the bot lane, but Maokai is going to TP in and stop her from getting that other tower, while the rest of TSF just obliterates 2 turrets in the top lane. And it looks like they may be going for more. They're still all clustered around there, but it looks like they are going to back off instead of pushing their luck.
Right, a really good trade. The team solo feed ended up having there, downing most, if not all, except for Tristana of 7 Shades of Grey, and then taking those 2 towers, really furthering their lead. And now they're at what is that? An 8K gold lead.
Just something I noticed in the chat. That was a Zac blob that Jingo was teleporting to. So he was actually trying to save Dat Walrus from completely getting obliterated. I couldn't even tell if it was a ward or a blob and all of that.
Well, thank you, Fleeing Panda, for pointing that out.
Looks like both teams are resetting. Team Solo Feed is gravitating around the mid lane. They have all of the inner turrets down except for the bot lane. Let's see if they try to force another fight or push for that tower. Either way, they're gonna have a lot of control over what goes on. They are pretty far ahead with an 8K gold lead and 9 kills up over 7 Shades.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to get set up for that Baron and trying to force a fight. Garfield Juice putting some of his some of his
and they are starting it. They are seems like they believe that they'll be able to take it down if they start it. But they are going to turn on Gert, who tries to come in, manages to lock him down. But here comes Dat Walrus. Is he going to bounce? He is going to bounce and pull in Garfield Juice with him. But Gert is going to get completely melted. Bounty flashing in to try and get the cask toss. Manages to bounce him all away, but doesn't do too much. Jirachi popping off the culling, getting a kill on Jingo Unchained. He is going to activate his Bork, try and get that little extra movement speed. OP is managing to get out. And they are pushing them back into their base. But without minions, they're not going to be able to push much further. OP does manage to get the recall in.
Man, that was a rough fight for 7 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had to do something about that Baron. If they left it alone between the Lucian and the Cogmon, their 2 Mountain Drakes, they were just going to shred it apart. However, Gert is gonna be a little bit hashtag overzealous and kind of go in on his own again. And he's just gonna take too much damage before the team can help him. Oh, and Sivan is going to obliterate OP's Tristana, but is gonna pay for it because Corki is gonna intercept him and say, okay, you take 1, I take 1. That's equal exchange. Looks like 7 Shades is going to try and take this dragon again. They are getting set up as it's spawning in 10 seconds. A little bit of tanks just wet noodling each other down there. They're both going to walk away with no damage. Neither of them even broke through the other one's shields.
Right, and Maokai just up top splitting. He's going to push it pretty hard, and he's got his TP down, so if a fight does break out, he can teleport to either this control ward right in front of Dragon.
Oh yeah, with that Sunfire Cape completed, he is going to be able to clear that lane pretty fast with all of his area of effect abilities, especially that Arcane Smash, doing a good amount of damage to the minions. 7 Shades does notice and pings to defend the tower, and it looks like Jingo Unchained is going to go down to answer. Meanwhile, we may see a 4v4 down here in the Dragon Pit. They are, Team Solo Feed is starting the Dragon. Gonna do a good amount of damage to it, but here comes Zac with the Baron. Steel gonna manage to get the smite in. Bounty, not so much. Ooh, Gert flashing in for the 4-man taunt. Doesn't get too much out of it, though. All of his team is way on the other side. He did manage to land the 4-man taunt, but no one was really around to capitalize on it, which is going to spell the end for that Gargoyle Gert.
Right, I feel like that was just a little bit of miscommunication in Seven Shades of Grey, with Gert just going in, trying to go ham, but no one really being able to follow up.
I'm going to throw in another overzealous, just so Gert hears this when he watches the VODs.
But shout out to Dat Walrus for going in and stealing that Infernal.
Oh yeah. With 2 Mountain Drakes, you don't want them getting the Infernal. But even with that Dragon Steel, they're going to get that mid inhibitor. And are going to go straight for Baron. Their OP is still down on Seven Shades' side. And Zach is still in base. He is not going to be able to respond fast enough unless Gert and Jingo can prolong this fight. But the entirety of TSF is just going to turn around. Jirachi is going to manage to... no, Baba Booey manages to kill Jingo with his ult. The Culling doesn't even get a shot in. And Sivan going to take the kill on Gert. Looks like they're opting to push down this top lane instead of turning on that Baron, with Dat Walrus coming up to try and do something. Right, but it's going to be a 5v3.
And 20-second death timers on both Django and Gert.
Ooh, we see Packer Diehard get stunned and locked down by this team. Jirachi going over the wall. Looks like this time he's the overzealous one. Doesn't quite clear the wall with his dash, but they do manage to pull the double kill out of it, assuming they get this last blob. Ooh, triple kill, sorry, for Sivan. That's not something you want to see on that Kog'Maw. They're just going to walk up there and take that top tower, and they are going to get this inhibitor unless we see something magic, which we do not. Up, Jingo flashing the mastery. Bounty responding for the good measure.
And now it looks like Team Solo Feed is going to go up and try for that Baron one more time.
That long-awaited Baron. We see Lucian with the blue buff. He's going to be able to come out of this with a good ton of mana. It would have been he would have been hard-pressed to do much to this Baron without that mana, but now he is going to have what he needs to contribute that little bit. And there it is. The double Mountain Drake melt on that Baron. All of Team Solo Feed gonna recall and get ready for this next push, which very well may be their last if they do this appropriately. We've already seen that they can clean up a fight pretty well, and if they get one more fight that wipes out 2 or 3 of their Seven Shades' members, it's gonna be a hard time for them to keep their base alive.
Right. Team Solo Feed has done a really great job at really keeping the Kog'Maw and Lucian safe and having their front line engage everything. Maokai has, or Garfield Juice has done like an extremely great job at going in when he needs to be and really landing those clutch ults and really locking down the backline of Seven Shades of Grey. So,
oh, yeah. Unfortunately for Seven Shades, it doesn't seem like they found the right way to get on that Kog'Maw and that Lucian. Who knows, we may see them turn this and get a nice pick, but for right now, they need to be wary, because that 13-3 Kog'Maw looks like he's at full build.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that is definitely scary.
And he is AP Kog'Maw, which is so much burst. As we saw earlier, even without full build, when he just completely nuked OP. Oh, and Sivan is just going to sit there and kind of just spit on that tower. They don't manage to take it all the way out until the minion comes in. That cannon with the Baron empowerment just manages to take it down. And it looks like they are going for that third inhibitor with every lane pushing. We are going to see triple lane super minions being Baron buffed, and I don't think there's anything that Seven Shades is going to be able to do about it. We have OP, Packer Diehard, and Jingo going to be the most damage they can do, but Dat Walrus does manage to get a 2-man Let's Bounce. However, it's 2 tanks, and they are just going to say, thank you, we're close to your back line, we're just going to melt you down. C-Van getting away, Rich managing to pull out a double kill, but C-Van needs his little penance and takes the third. And we're going to see Team Solo Feed roll out with a pretty crushing victory over Seven Shades.
Man, that was an intense last team fight to defend that Nexus.
Yeah. Seven Shades tried what they could, but there's just not much you can do against a wall of tanks and a super powerful backline, Baron buffing 3 waves of super minions.
Right. And I'm just looking at the damage, total damage to champions, pretty close with C-Van hitting 34.6k damage, and Jirachi coming out with almost 36k damage to champions.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about MVP here. Who do you think it's going to?
Man, I would definitely have it to give it to either what's his name? I would definitely either have to give it to Garfield Juice or Bounty 10-12. Both of them were really good in their positioning and really getting people caught out. For instance, there was one team fight where Bounty just went in and he just threw his barrel and knocked OP straight out of the team fight and left him wide open to be engaged on by Garfield Juice and really securing that that down. So I guess if I really had to come down to it, I would say I would give it to Bounty.
I agree. Bounty did manage to get a hefty amount of assists. That 03 and 24 was very influential in team fights with his ults. But as much as we have a stigma against looking at damage charts, I think it was C-Van, personally, popping off in the early game and managing to keep himself safe. There was a couple times he got caught out, but they weren't game-breaking moments. So I'd say I'd have to give it to C-Van, but Bounty is up there on the list. He is within the top 5 candidates, I'll tell you that.
Oh, man.
All right, so it looks like we will be getting set up for Game 2. All y'all stick around, and we will see you back in just a few minutes.